Eugine Okanda is a visionary and a dynamic leader dedicated to nurturing leadership development, ethical transformation, and holistic growth among other leaders, especially the youth. He is the founder and executive director of Unlock Young Leaders Summit and the Okanda Leadership Academy, providing corporate training and consultancy services. With extensive experience in the corporate sector and through his organization, Okanda has built a community of over 2,000 leaders across 25 counties, 15 countries, and 94 universities. Motivated by his passion for transformation, Okanda inspires the next generation of leaders through his work, helping them discover and achieve excellence. To the Plus Conference, the phenomenal Eugine Okanda.
CV, sir.
Where do we even start?
Hey, you tell us because
I'm just an ordinary Kenyan.
wewe wacha wewe umeshafika huko kwingine, but we thank God for that. Yeah, we now want to hear. We have said that there is grace, sindio? There is grace in men. And so probably lean in, because this might just be your confirmation. He might just be carrying in his story what you're supposed to be carrying out of here. Sindio? So ladies and gentlemen, I 10-2 for that, just for that. A round of applause for Pastor Eugine. Looking back, before we even start, because I'm going to give you a chance to just, but looking back, before we even here, would you have imagined that God would have used you like this today?
Absolutely no.
Absolutely no.
Absolutely
For
no.
real. Na your CV yote, surely 94 universities.
Yeah.
Hey. You know.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, you're the people we ask, alafu unasema ni God, manzi.
Manze ni God.
But usually, we tuambie, ukweli ni God.
Okay, I have like 3 top things
please.
that really made that possible.
Mm-hmm.
So number 1, ni God.
Aha.
Alafu number 2, which is I think the most important one, ni God.
Aha.
But there's a last one. I think possibly this is the most profound one.
Okay, can we say it together?
Ni God! Yeah, ni God.
So you saying that probably siku zote,
Yeah.
siku zote ni God.
Ni God. Siku zote
So,
ni God.
If you think that probably God angekutumia, because you're looking at your story, you're thinking probably wouldn't have been here. Probably just a short icebreaker. If someone looked at you as face value, what's one reason that is making you, that would have made you think, by the God angekutumia?
I laugh like Sarah when the angel of the Lord stepped in her room and she told her that you're going to carry Jesus, you know, and I think that that disbelief and just that thought of, can the Lord really use me? So for me, one of the things is the fact that I was born out of the wedlock.
Ah, okay.
I have never been in a setting of a functional family. Like I've never seen my mom and my dad holding hands. You know, yeah, holding hands, even for serving food together. Okay. And I think for me that disqualified me. By the virtue that I don't come from a well-structured family, and I don't come from a place of advantage, and therefore born out of the wedlock, meeting my dad when I was 21 years old, battled with suicide, which possibly we'll talk about. I was a serial failure. The people I used to beat the people I used to beat in an examination room were those who didn't sit for that exam. Like those are my guys, you know. Where nimepata math 4. Alafu nenda naambia msee bana nimepata 4 na umepata ngapi? Nimepata 1. Una feel encouraged like, hey maze, kumbe naweza make it.
Hey.
Yeah.
Rev Tabitha, here you had well. This one was the one for Plus Conference. Surely. So what is it the same thing that you can say that was ordinary that now God used? Your lack of there was something else. You know, like Moses, we know there is stammering that now God used that was so ordinary we thought to do something extraordinary. Is it the same thing?
Yeah, I think for me that's the most the most shocking thing, that God could pick me. And right now, I normally have conversations with my dad, and he takes me as his firstborn. Though I have like 3 elder brothers, like and really I've stepped into the shoe of a firstborn by the virtue that I think I have a very close connection with his heart. But looking back, coming from born out of the wedlock, just saw my mom butchered by my stepfather when I was a teenager, and my mom's bloody body profusely bleeding on the floor, and I was on top of my mom's body crying out so loudly, in an excruciating pain. And I thought possibly this is the end of life, because I knew after he has done with my mom, possibly he will come for us. And going forward, grew up with a broken self-esteem. I hated myself. I didn't used to have constructive conversations with myself. All these things poured into my academic performance. I tell you, I was a serial failure. And I remember one time, I think I've shared this story for those of us who fellowship here, when I was preaching and I said I got 199 marks. That was a lot. I was number what? You guys know I was number what in my school with 199 marks? I was number 4. Yes, I think the first student had 264. So I was, that's actually the top student in my class.
I thought you wanted to say from the bottom.
No. So I was number 4. And then I get 199 marks. I look at those marks and I felt like there's something more. Let me tell you. You end up associating with the lower version of you when your context appreciates that. When you can sit down with your context of friends who you talk things that are not of value, you end up being a happy soul. But when God introduces you to the better version of you, and God has a way of putting in places where you see glimpses of what your future looks like, you end up looking at yourself in a disgusting manner. And you start developing this hunger within yourself that pushes you to be in context where you demand the better version of yourself. Now that started when I went back. I went back to class 7. I stepped in that room and I met with students that I used to beat. When you are poor in class, you need to find...
Those who are at home or those who are in class?
Those who are when I was in class 8, I used to beat those who are in class 6. You see, when you are a poor student in school, if you're poor academically, you need to be a pro in something. Just look for something that at least can put your name out there. So I used to fight a lot. And you see, the reason why I was fighting, I was battling with my own insecurities. I was battling with my own dark shadows. And I was expressing the pain through the people that did not even contribute to my pain. And that's exactly what is even happening in our society today. And when I went back to class 7 by God's grace, I did my first exam and I got around 200 and watu walans poleni lakini sisi wengine tulikuwa huko nyuma. So I came back to school, and of course, just to cut the long story short, I did my KCP the second time and I got 284 marks. Bana pigeni makofi.
That one is an improvement. That one is an improvement.
Yeah, so looking from being born in a wedlock, battling with suicidal thoughts. So I'm here, I'm got a 284 marks, and I go to my stepfather, tell him, hey dad, the results are out. Other Form 1s had already reported to school. So I tell him, are you not taking me to school? He looked at me so ferociously and he told me, I'm not taking you to school. You'll be taking care of your siblings. Because even my younger brother was still breastfeeding when my mom was butchered by my stepfather. And I remember that day when he told me that ferociously, I took a rope and I went to the back of our house and I tied it up at the very back of our own home.
Oh, you were not about to.
And I stood on a stool. I can remember that evening vividly. It was raining. And to look at it from the hindsight, I was already dead before I could physically die. And it's so unfortunate that many young people die in their 20s. They're waiting to be buried in their 60s. So many dreams had gone, and my dreams had already crashed. I was just waiting to be dead physically. And when I was almost releasing myself from the rope, let me tell you, Cheryl.
Please do.
It's not fun to cut yourself, to cut your vein with with us, with whatever you want to cut. It's not fun to hang on a tree, dying mercilessly like someone who was not created by God. It's not fun when you take poison and want to die like a shameless rat that doesn't have a soul.
No, it's not.
The devil is a thief. When the Bible says that he came to steal, to kill, and to destroy. You see, that is a pattern. Yeah. He came to steal. First of all, he steals your soul. Yes. You start looking at yourself as a person who does not have value. And he makes it more evidential by parading the evidence around you. You were born out of the wedlock because my dad used to look down on me. I could see food on the cupboard, but we could not eat. We used to dissolve salt and eat it with ugali that remained yesterday. This story is a jaba na kwambia.
Okay.
I used to study in a primary school, and I used to stand where they sell sugar cane. I used to wait for that last part of the sugar cane. When it is thrown, kulikuwa na gang. When that thing was sacred. When that thing is thrown in the air by that mama who is selling the sugar cane, we used to fight for it. And the devil parades those evidence. And when I was standing on that rope, I had evidence and I had excuses that were validated by my current reality. But I heard the voice of God through my cousin. Oh, wow. Someone kept calling me, Eugine. And God is so strategic. Yeah. Because the truth of the matter is, sometimes we think we are waiting on God. God, I'm waiting on you. I've been waiting so long. But let me tell you, God has been waiting on you. God has been waiting, and God was waiting for me.
He was.
And he kept coming for me. And that day, my cousin just came to intercept. Right now, I could be rotting in the grave.
I can only imagine.
So for me, the reason why I preach my lungs out, the reason why I preach so hard is because I know there are lives that are incarcerated. Oh my God. And I have to preach so hard until the chains dissolve. Because mine were dissolved that evening.
Amen. A round of applause. Yeah. Hey, from that story, who can relate? Anyone can relate? Anyone? Hey, you guys, your life is fantastic. But that is amazing. That is good to know. It's just how you've given us your background story in a few minutes, but we can. So even though ulipata 284 ukaenda
Ebwambua. It means rocks. But at least he had a deeper meaning in the scripture. It means rocks.
Wacha.
It's a Luya name that means rocks.
Okay.
So mawe.
Lakini shule utenda shule mnaitwa mawe. So how somebody is listening and is relating, probably Jajikata, you have not thought of suicide, but somehow your story is almost in the same context. How did you be able to overcome those inner thoughts, the inner voices, and even external voices to actually move until to this place that you actually are?
Well, Cheryl, I didn't overcome it. I couldn't.
Let's go there, sir.
I couldn't. And then later on, my grandparents decided to take me to high school. Mm-hmm. Not the high school that I chose, because I was called to join at least a better high school. Mm. I happened to have joined my former primary school where they had where I was a serial failure. Yeah. And that's exactly where I started. So I joined that school and they think I can be the CU chair. God sometimes tends to show you who you are by putting you in places of uncomfortability. Yes. Places where you look at it and you're like, God, not me. Yeah. I remember when I was a CU chair with my brokenness. Mm-hmm. As a Form 1. So these guys didn't know what was going on in my life. Mm-hmm. So they gave me that leader. I was the CU chair of six students. Okay. It's not that there were 1,000 of them. Because in that school we were 7 Form 1s. We were pioneers. That high school.
Mnaanzisha shule.
Yeah, hiyo shule na sasa ndio ilikuwa mnaanzisha high school.
Wakasema the top ule wa 199.
Yeah, ule wanaacha ingie huko. Okay. So I was among the top that joined that high school that had been started. Yeah. Look at why are you allowing all these things to face me, God? So when I was there, my crisis led me to the cross of Jesus. Mm-hmm. One time, I'm leading prayers. And I'm like, what am I just doing? So I used to go to school with shoes that had holes. My shoes had holes. Okay. So what used to happen, I used to pray. So of course now this was like the congregation. And of course now during our prayer service, we used to have like other class 8 join us during and other students for inspiration. I don't know what they thought. So during prayer time with my holes, I could not pray while kneeling this way. So I used to kneel facing the wall, so that I could hide my holes,
your holes
on my shoes. So I used to pray. And one time when I was praying, I felt like the Lord visited me in that occasion. Uh-huh. And it was clear that God had something that he wanted me to do. Okay. But I didn't know what exactly it was. Mm-hmm. And thank be to God for one of the teachers who saw my pain. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, pain cannot be hidden. You can put nice makeup. You can even buy hair and put on your head. Yeah. You can even buy eyelashes and put on your eyes. Mm-hmm. For brethren, you can put on nice suits and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But you cannot hide your pain. And my pain was always evident. And they could know this young man is suffering. Mm-hmm. And thanks be to God for that teacher who was able to mentor me in terms of engaging with me in that kind of a conversation. Mm-hmm. But for me, I'm just a product of the mercies of God. I couldn't overcome that reality. God in his own mercies just met me and gave me a new identity. So we thank God. I'm a product of his grace.
Yes, we do.
I can't stand here and tell you guys I did 1, 2, 3, 4 things. Because the truth is, when you're dead in sin, and I was surely dead in sin, even though I was given a position could not give me an identity. My pain was still expressive. I was still, in fact, there are moments in the leadership team with my other few two guys who were leading together, I could bleed on them. And you see, when you're in pain, you end up bleeding in people until God is able to put a bandage and be able to heal you from that. And it's only the cross of Jesus that can do that.
Very true.
Yeah.
And so we are seeing that you now being in the position that you are is that you are qualified because God called you.
Oh, yes.
So what does it actually mean when we keep on saying that God does not call those who are qualified, but he actually, before I mess it up, let me look at my notes very fast. Oh, he qualifies the called.
That's right. So I joined the university, and it's so nice that Pastor Precious is here. Pastor Precious, that you see him preaching so powerfully, he was holding this fire when he was in campus. So I'm a first year, and I joined campus, and I joined the Christian Union, the music team. And of course, our leaders were Pastor Precious. They were ahead of us. They were our papa. You know.
The OGs, yeah.
So I joined the Christian Union, and I meet people who pray so fervently. And I'm asking myself, do these people go through the same struggle I'm going through? Why are they praying loudly? What is it that has happened in their lives that has not happened to me? What God did to fast track that story, they thought I could lead. So they gave me to be the prayer secretary of the music team. When I could not even pray. So what happened? For me, that was a catch. And God literally had planned that out. Let me tell you, friends, I thank God for Pastor Precious. Let's just appreciate him. I know he may not remember this much, and it's so divinely orchestrated that Pastor Precious is here. I remember we used to pray. Of course, we still pray. We used to pray during our Christian Union time, and I remember Pastor Precious came and grabbed me, and he put his hands on my belly. And he started to prophesy. Pastor Precious used to do that. I don't know why he used to do that, but now looking back, I'm like, he was led of God, and he knows that. He used to pray for me. And I remember now when I was taken in to be the prayer secretary, I didn't know how to pray. But for sure, for me, that moment when I was now taken in to be the prayer secretary, that's when I learned how to pray. And let me tell you, I used to pray. Yeah. I pray. When you find me in my prayer room, even now in my 29th year, I pray like it is for now. And it's because of the seeds that were planted by people like Akina Pastor Precious.
Yeah. Wow. And just saying that, by the way, he's entering into another decade next week. Yeah. So everybody, happy birthday, Pastor Eugene.
Thank you.
So seeing that, somebody's like, okay, so we can be called. So one thing somebody is saying is that I need to know what purpose is.
Yeah.
I need to know God is calling me.
Yeah.
What is purpose to you? Not the stage, not the pulpit. What is purpose to you? How do you know that God is calling you and it's just not a good idea?
Absolutely.
I have a good idea that it's supposed to be a project, an NGO. How do you know that it's purpose?
You see, purpose is not something you chase. Purpose is something you become.
A man of God.
So God meets Jeremiah when Jeremiah is 17 years old.
Yes.
In Jeremiah chapter 1 from verses 5 going down. And he tells Jeremiah, before you were born, before I formed you in your mother's womb, brother, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. And I appointed you to be a prophet to the nations, not just to the nation, to the nations. So one time I asked myself, between Jeremiah, the 17-year-old, and the prophet, who is older? No, let's talk. Between Jeremiah, the 17-year-old, and the prophet, who was known, who was set apart, and who was appointed? Who is older? So, according to God, your purpose is not something you chase for. Your purpose is something you become. Because before you were born, before you were formed in your mother's womb, God knew you. Before you were born, He set you apart. And before you were born, He appointed you to be the thing that He has called you to become. Now, this is where we get it wrong, because their purpose conference, their purpose whatever. In fact, the end of this month, I'm doing a conversation that I'm calling the Purpose Garage. And their purpose books, if you go and Google books on purpose, you'll get thousands of them.
Yes.
The problem is this: when you're out of alignment with God, you're never going to find your purpose.
True.
You see, what many people are running away from, and many secular people are trying to imbibe into our heads, is that purpose is what you go to school to study.
Yeah.
The purpose of the university or an institution of learning is to empower that which God has already put in you. So if you're out of alignment with God, you can have as many degrees as a thermometer, but you're out of purpose. Because the thing is, until you meet God, you're still not living your purpose.
True.
So the Bible says in the book of Ephesians chapter number 2 verses 10 that we are, what does that scripture say? Someone remind me. We are Christ's workmanship, created. We created to do good works, which were already planned even before the foundations of the earth. So you see, when you're going through life, you are not chasing. You're not going to get to your 50s for you to understand your purpose. Your purpose should be the thing that you come to alignment with when you meet with God. And that's why every Christian who has a genuine walk with God should be living a life of purpose. Your purpose can be found when you're just a security guard. Your purpose can just be when you're treating the patients in the hospital. Your purpose can be when you're behind the computers and you're trying to make systems work.
Yeah.
Your purpose can be evidential when you're trying to teach the Sunday school children. Your purpose can be evidential when you're trying to work for the government, because you are living in alignment with God. If you are in alignment with God, you are in alignment with your purpose.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
I hope that sets you apart. Absolutely.
That's amazing. So in the point that now we are getting to know that this is actually our calling, this is the direction that I'm being called to, yeah? What if, yes, I am feeling the weight of my calling, but I just don't feel ready for it? Yeah. Just the same way we can see it with Moses. We can see it with Joshua. We can see it with so many people. And at the end of the Bible, we are told, when you don't rise up to your assignment, their destiny that suffers.
Absolutely.
Because whatever God has put in you is just not for you. It's for so many other people. Right. So what do you actually do? You can feel that, my calling kidogo is a little bit weighty and I don't feel ready in the next 3 minutes. Let me
shock you.
Yeah.
Purpose is not cute. The reason as to why people are not living a life of purpose, because purpose is wrapped in the things we are not doing. Your purpose is in the things you are running away from.
Yeah.
Because your purpose is not when you are on Instagram live and you're feeling nice about everything that's happening in your space. There is a difference between ambition and purpose. So you have an ambition to build a house. That is not a purpose. Your purpose should be the thing that is able to make you find fulfillment in life and is able to touch the lives of others. So that's why legacy is not written on the walls. Legacy is written in people's hearts. So you realize that many people are not feeling their purpose because purpose is not feeling. There is a price you have to pay for you to become the thing that God has called you to become. And I don't know, for me possibly it was because I was raised up in the family that I was raised up, and for someone possibly we seated here, maybe they're out of, and let me tell you, there are Christians who are out of alignment. Because you can be doing church, but you're not living a life of meaning and purpose. Because when you're living a life of meaning and purpose, it means you are a conduit of God's power to your generation. So the thing is, purpose is asking yourself, how am I partnering with God to making the kingdom come on earth? So how are you partnering with God in your workplace to make the kingdom come? That is the prayer that Jesus teaches the disciples. He says, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. May your kingdom come. The kingdom comes through sons. The kingdom comes through sons, them that God has delivered and restored. So you realize that, and as I make a conclusion of that question, your purpose will demand extraordinary obedience.
Yes.
Extraordinary obedience. God will wake you up in the wee hours of the night. God will ask you to make painful decisions that will look painful at that moment, but it is meaningful to your generation. Because again, the other thing, them that are walking in purpose, sometimes the pain we go through, we end up equating cutting and pruning. When it's happening, it looks like they have the same outcome. But when you are cut, you die. But when you're pruned, you become productive. And those are the things that God does to us when you're walking a life of purpose and meaning.
So when he says, abide in me, so that you can actually bear much fruit, you won't get to know who you are. If you wanted to know how logo kubwa, how this one works, you'll have to go to the manufacturer to get to understand that.
Absolutely.
So that's the same way you're telling us that if we abide in God, we will get to know what our purpose is. We'll get to know where we are supposed to move. And in the midst of it all, you're also saying it's not supposed to be pretty. It's not cute.
In fact, just to add, just go look at your prayer items. Your prayer items will tell you your spiritual priorities.
Please go deeper.
When you look at your prayer items, most of us, our prayer items is about me. God, me. And God, give me a wife or I die. And God tells you, die fast. Give me a boyfriend or I die. And God tells you, die fast. You see? And you realize that most of the time, our prayer item is a reflection of our spiritual priorities. When you're laying it down before God and asking God, God, heal me. Why is he healing you? If God is healing you so that you can be full of yourself, you will die in that sickness. You will, and I'm saying that lightly to mean that if it's about you, then it's not purpose, it's ambition. Purpose. If you're telling God, God, please make me prosperous, help me to prosper even as my soul prosper, what for? Is it for building a good house in Karen, or is it for impacting the lives of people? And you realize that the people who are walking in purpose, they're people of value.
True.
And therefore they end up even having the resources that God wants them to have to do the things that they need to do.
Wow, amazing. And so even as we wrap up, because I'm saying we have 3 minutes remaining, we'll take 1 minute each to answer each question. So what's one message that you'd actually take to shout to every young person who is stuck in doubt, who is stuck in feeling unworthy, who is stuck in saying, okay, umesema, pia mimi wewe, oiboa, same WhatsApp group, it just doesn't feel like I'm moving. What's one message you'd like to shout to such people that they'd go home with to know by they go for that thing? As Paul said, I'm running towards the mark of the high calling, that they should actually pursue that fervently.
I will tell you guys, don't be a victim of circumstances. Yes, you were born and you were raised in that kind of a family, or you started a relationship or things, you started a business, things didn't work, or you got yourself into a particular kind of a lifestyle and things are going deeper and deeper. Don't be a victim of circumstance. Christ died so that he can restore you for the works that he has for you. And you realize that he is calling. Every day he's calling. The Bible says that he's standing right at the door. He's knocking at the door of your heart. So make a commitment that you will not die as a victim of circumstances. You can change the status quo. You can change how things have been done. The other thing is this. Don't always be a wishy-washy kind of a person. I know sometimes we cry a lot, but it really matters whose audience are you crying at? Who are you crying to? And the truth is, God is paying close attention to the cry of your heart. And if you can come to him, he's going to exchange beauty for ashes. He's going to give you a name. He's going to give you a life that you're going to look back and you'll be like, God has done this. And if God did it for me, he can do it for you. I remember when I was addressing the people at the United Nations General Assembly last year, I was asking myself, is it really me? Is it really me that God is using? And I remember I said it here. God told me, that's why I chose you. And for all of us, no matter how the messy your past has been, God still has everything figured out. And you can still trust him. Yeah.
For my last question, for people who are actually pursuing purpose, yeah, what is it that you can tell them when they feel like, yes, I'm pursuing it, but I can't see I can't see the growth, I can't see the outcomes, I can't see the results yet. Now I have decided that I am going to pursue purpose, because we have talked to the ones who are feeling unworthy, but there are those now who are chasing purpose, but now they're at a point where they feel like, kidogo, so what do I gain from it?
That's right. I'll propose 5 things, and I'll do this quickly for the sake of time. I want you to fill your 5 buckets in the order that I'm going to illustrate them. Number 1, you need to ask yourself, and you need to answer this question: what do you know? God does not work with dumb people. Don't be a dumb Christian. You cannot be a child of God and be dumb at the same time. Yes. You cannot put sons of God and dumb in the same statement. And I'm saying that with the seriousness that I mean, because I've met Christians who do not know what God has actually called them to do. They have an idea of what God has called them to do, but they do not have the knowledge quotient. So what do you know? That is the knowledge quotient. I will ask you this. Get to know everything around that which God has called you to do. If God has called you to serve as a medical doctor, get to know everything. And that's not what normally I tell my fiancée, because she's a medical doctor. I normally tell her, get to know everything that pertains to your calling and to your purpose in that workplace. Number 2, what can you do? Your skills quotient. Get to empower your skills. And most of us, we have skills. Get to put your skills into a class, because the world is a library. Every day we wake up to learn. Get to learn everything that surrounds your skill. So the skills quotient. Number 3, your networks quotient. Who do you know? Don't be a Christian who normally say, me, I don't need people. God will just bless me. That is a lame theology. God blesses men through men. You cannot discredit men and be a purpose-driven Christian. You cannot be discrediting people for you to flourish in this world. So your networks quotient is the question of, who do you need to know? And what do they need to know about you? Be in rooms, push yourself, get into networking platforms, get to meet 1 or 2 people, and make sure you do not discredit the people that you're growing up with. Because 5 years from now, those people are going to be your employer and even the employer of your children, possibly. Number 4, your resources quotient. What do you have? You'll realize in the scripture there is this question that God always asks the people that he calls. What do you have? He asked the same question to Moses. He asked the same question when he met Gideon. He met Gideon doing something, and he told Gideon, go in the power that you have. So there is something that you have. And the thing is, your resources is time, energy, and possibly the resources in terms of money that God has given you. This is it, friends. How you utilize your time, money, and energy determines your priority as a Christian. If you just want to know your priorities, go look at your M-Pesa transaction for the past 1 week. Where is your money going? Najua mnaniangalia vibaya lakini ni sawa. The last one is this, and this is possibly one of the most important. What do people think about you? Build a legacy that will conduct boardroom meetings on your behalf. Make sure you are so good that they cannot do without you.
Yeah.
Make sure you push yourself so hard. Let me tell you, if you are in a company or you're working in an organization and you only see things happening, there is a problem. They don't think you have anything to offer. So make sure that you're building a veritable legacy that is able to conduct boardroom meetings on your behalf. That God will allow people to speak on your behalf. That your gift is going to, actually the Bible says your gift will be able to introduce you in rooms of influence. I'm trying to add words into that. Your gift is so powerful that is able to usher you in rooms of influence. So your skills, your knowledge quotient, say it with me. The second one was what? No, let's start from the top. The first one was what?
Your knowledge quotient.
Let's say it as sons of God. The first one is what?
Your knowledge quotient.
Number 2? Number 3?
Network quotient.
Number 4? Resources quotient. And number 5? Legacy quotient. If you're able to invest in those 5 areas and in those 5 buckets, in terms of in alignment with what God has called you to do, I tell you the truth. God honors commitment.
Yeah.
And God is going to make things align in ways that you cannot even imagine. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Pastor Eugene for you. A round of applause. Yeah. That was fantastic.
Thank you very much.
We see where the 199 was useful to 284. Now to you, see you here.
Absolutely.
And
by the way, I went to a university.
You went to?
I graduated with a second class upper division.
Thank you.
From Kenyatta University.
Hallelujah.
And I did a bachelor's of science in biochemistry. Yeah, so I was not as Sikwa Duanzi.
Okay, tunaona sasa.
Yeah. And by the way, I have some books that I have with me. I've written 2 books. I don't know if Pastor Tab, you can help me. I've done a book on public speaking and communication hacks. This one you need to get. You cannot be saying you want to walk a life of purpose and you cannot talk about it. So you need to know how to communicate. Hallelujah. And then the second one is the pressure of being gifted. Because for you to be an extraordinary person, of course you're an ordinary person with an extraordinary God, but there's a pressure that you have to sustain. Putting pressure on purpose for you to become the thing that God has called you to do. So I've come with these few copies. You'll get them at the desk. I'll be able to autograph for you by God's grace. Thank you so much.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Pastor Eugene, even as he takes his seat, thank you so much, Pastor. Karibu.